Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Safety Systems. Protect your family, protect your employees, protect your home, protect your business. Safety Systems provides the latest in security systems technology, putting everything, cameras, lights, locks, right in the palm of your hand with your tablet or your smartphone. Call VFL JJ Surlis this week to learn more about Safety Systems. That was four-star quarterback Jordan Matthews from Baton Rouge committing to Tennessee on Monday of this week, just one day after three-star cornerback Ricky Gibson of Trussville, Alabama had committed to the Vols. Ryan, as we continue to look at that, it'll freeze out here in a second. Tell us a little bit about the players that Tennessee lined up this week. Two really good corners, and not only who they got, but who they beat out to get them.
That's a big part of this. Tennessee winning some big battles here, beating out Georgia for Ricky Gibson. And sometimes you hear Georgia was one of the finalists, and they weren't really, or a team like that.
Right,
Alabama.
They already had four other corners, so he wasn't a priority.
Or maybe he wasn't. Yeah, they weren't pushing going all out for him. This was a case where Georgia absolutely would have taken him, and not only that, but about a week before it looked like Georgia was going to get him. Tennessee kind of flipped this one late. So this is a legitimate win for Tennessee. A guy that I think his stock is still rising. 6-foot corner who can run. That's a trend in Tennessee's secondary class, which is really good, I think, across the board. But that's why Gibson earned a Georgia offer this summer, went to camp, ran really fast there, measured in at 6 feet, and has over 30 offers now. So this is a guy Tennessee was in good shape with for a while. Georgia came in this summer and kind of threatened that, but Tennessee wins out in the end, and beating out some legitimate program. Auburn just offered recently. Penn State offered this summer, so that's a really nice win.
So is this one where you credit the coaches for their ability to spot somebody before other people do?
I think so. They offered back in February, got him on campus 4 times between March and June, and then some of these offers came in toward the end of that stretch. So this is definitely a case where Tennessee won in part because they were in there early and recruited him as hard as anybody for about 6 months.
All right, and then the Matthews kid we just saw straight out of Baton Rouge. Who did Tennessee beat out to grab him?
They beat out Texas, and before you ask, LSU also definitely was in there. They were not a finalist, but this one's maybe not over just yet. This is the part that Tennessee maybe has to worry about. His dad played at LSU. His coach is Marcus Randall, the former LSU quarterback, and he's just down the road, obviously, from LSU's campus. So LSU has still been in contact with him recently and is not going to give up, but they weren't a finalist for this announcement. But Texas was the main competition, and not only that, but Texas thought for months they were getting Jordan Matthews. This was a bit of a pretty big upset, really, in a lot of people's minds. And he went to, you saw the announcement there where he pulled the hat out of the box?
Yeah.
He went to great lengths to really keep Texas in the dark about this. So he kind of misled them all the way to the end just to make sure he had his moment, had his surprise. But a lot of people nationally were surprised that he picked Tennessee. So 4-star prospect, top 200 player nationally. This is a big, big win for Tennessee, and that secondary class as a whole looks pretty good.
That's an awfully big celebration to do if you're only going to flip back later.
Well,
so,
I don't know that that's his plan, but it's just something to keep an eye on.
That's kids today. All right, let's talk about 24/7 Sports and your composite rankings. It's awfully small there. I'll make a better graphic for you folks. I got lazy. It's like, I won't type this one. I'll just copy it. Tennessee still 11th down there in your composite rankings. That compiles Rivals, 24/7, ESPN.
And On3.
Yeah, On3. So Tennessee, they get 2 really good corners who other teams wanted, but they stayed at 11. What gives? Why do you hate the Vols?
There was a bigger gap in between them and the 10th place team before they landed those commitments. So kept them. They did move up 1 spot with I believe the Jordan Matthews commitment from 12th to 11th, but just not quite moving up yet. It raises a larger point though. A lot of competition within the top 15 this year. I think there are a lot of teams. NIL I think is part of this. The playing field has been leveled a little bit. You've got a lot of teams that have a lot of resources, a lot of passion.
The NIL playing field has been leveled.
That are being, well, it's leveled the playing field that Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State aren't getting all the great players.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
So it's allowing more teams, Miami, Penn State, Texas, Tennessee, they're all having pretty good years. And so that means even with a really good class, the class I would say is noticeably better than last year's, Tennessee's not that much farther ahead rankings-wise than they were a year ago.
Yeah. And the reason I pointed out the other one is we've talked about that in the past, that Tennessee had the big advantage on the NIL thing. Then other schools have kind of caught up. So I guess you could look at the leveling of the NIL playing field in a couple of different ways. It's leveled the overall field, but more schools are also kind of catching up in terms of Spire Sports in Tennessee still way up there, but other schools are starting to get in there. What's next in terms of your recruit next? What are you looking on? What should fans expect? The season's about to begin. what's the next wave? Who you got your eye on?
Well, there's a Tennessee target announcing this afternoon, but we don't expect him to end up at Tennessee. It's a 4-star wide receiver, Aiden Williams of Mississippi. But kind of getting to your point on how recruiting works, he's already still planning to take an official visit to Tennessee next month. So even if they don't get him today, that one's still maybe not over yet. So, but that's kind of the last of the wave of summer commitments. Guys starting their seasons, they'll all kind of die down commitment-wise for a little while. Now it's about Tennessee kind of drumming up some new targets, maybe watching some senior season film, trying to find some new options on the offensive line, maybe the defensive line as well. Those are the two big positions they still need to hit: O-line, D-line. Address those, add another receiver, some needs here and there, but really it's all about hitting the line of scrimmage right now.
Very good. Ryan Callahan, thanks for joining us with the recruiting stuff. Stick around because we got more with you. When we come back, how will the SEC and Big Ten fans like their new TV deals? We'll talk about the money a little bit later, but next, where are you going to find SEC games? And did you see what CBS put out this past week? I'll show it to you. It's hurtful. It hurts to watch. We'll show it next. Come on back on the Sports Source.
Away from home? Watch the Sports Source live at WATE.com.